Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled Internet Backs Man Who Left His Fiancée at Home Alone on Thanksgiving. And guys, this story has been circulating around for the last few days, even so much as having a whole article written about it on Newsweek from this Reddit post about this guy who decided to leave his complete pain-in-the-butt fiancée home on Thanksgiving because, wait for it, she didn't want to eat the food that his mom was preparing for everyone. She was going to meet his family for the first time, and she insisted that she bring her own food. Not because she is allergic to a lot of foods or because maybe she's a vegan, but because simply she didn't want to eat Thanksgiving food. Translation, royal pain in the ass. And this guy says, fine, if you're not going to do that, I'm leaving you here. Done. And it's this whole drama fest and all that. And to no surprise, this has been circulating online. And surprisingly, people have been on this guy's side. Ordinarily, people would usually take the gal's side, but no. People are taking this guy's side. So maybe it's a Thanksgiving miracle or something. And I'm doing this, guys, one, because it is entertaining. Let's be honest here. But two, I talk about all the time for you relationship guys, why it's so important that if you are going to get married one day, and let's be honest here, there are plenty of guys that watch me that are going to do it anyway. I tell you guys you need to be with them for years. Not just you meet them and 6 months later you're going to freaking propose and get married because that's the dumbest shit ever because that's the crap you see on TV. You're with them for years so you can really see what they're really like and have all these situations and scenarios arise and see how they react to it. And this guy, like I said, he's been engaged to her for 3 years and this situation arises. And now he's starting to see some of her true colors. Because what kind of person who's not allergic to certain food or maybe has special eating habits is pulling something like that? Someone that wants to do a power play. For you guys that do relationships, if you were bringing your girl home to meet your family for the first time and she pulled this, how would you react? How would your mother or your family react when somebody went there and said, I want you to make me a different type of food for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever holiday it is, right? It wouldn't go over too well. So it takes somebody that's a real complete selfish a-hole to pull a stunt like that, or someone that wants to stir up drama, or someone that wants to create conflict with your family. That way she can have you all to herself. You see what I'm talking about here? That's why it's so important, you relationship guys, years and years to be with the girl to see what she's really like. And unfortunately, if you're going to marry her, you live with her for a while to, again, see what she's like on that front. Or you simply, or like many guys are doing nowadays, you don't get married at all or do relationships. But that's a different conversation. So I'm going to go through this here and add more of my 2 cents. Starts off, Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time spent with your loved ones. But one man has gone viral after taking the bold decision to leave his fiancée at home and spend the holiday alone with his family. More surprising still, it is a decision that the internet appears to have wholeheartedly endorsed. That's probably the craziest part of this whole story. Ordinarily, any other normal day, this guy would be completely just torn apart by the Twitter mob or whoever it is, because you always see articles where people are just, I forget the exact word, blasted or some term like that, you know? Writing in a post shared to Reddit's Am I the A-Hole subreddit, which has been upvoted 10,900 times, the man explained how he and his fiancée have been together for 3 years in a long distance relationship. She'd been due to spend her first Thanksgiving with his family this year. However, a problem arose when it came to the food being served. Notice right there, long-distance relationship for 3 years. Now, I don't know if it means they were together for a while, that maybe they were apart because of school or a study abroad program or something, or apart the whole time. It doesn't specify that. But the point is that obviously he hasn't spent enough time with her. According to the post, his fiancée agreed to go, but told him she would bring her own cooked food with her. The response left him confused, especially as she is not a vegan or allergic to anything and had never eaten any of his mom's food before. You know, it's one thing if she wanted to bring, she made some stuffing or some mashed potatoes and brought along. That, in fact, is a very good gesture. Or brought dessert. But no, she wants to cook her own meal. I mean, that's just crazy. The family would be like, who's this wacko that Bill's bringing home here? Right? She said that it's just her choice and wanted to eat something else to add new flavor for Thanksgiving since she was always being forced to eat the same old traditional meals every year by her family, he wrote. Oh, poor her. You know, there are a certain percentage of people in this world that literally do not know when their next meal's coming from, and she's pissing and moaning because, God forbid, she has to have a traditional Thanksgiving meal. I mean, yet generally it's once a year. Have you had that much turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes that you can't possibly do it anymore? Suck it up and deal with it one night for this guy. This is going to be your future in-laws, lady. Unless, like I said, she's deliberately trying to create conflict so that way she can get this guy all to herself. And that type of thing does happen. He was keen to stress that he was planning to bring an entire cooked meal. He was keen to stress that she was planning to bring an entire cooked meal for herself rather than food to share. Yeah, she sounds like a keeper. Angry at her stipulation, the man branded his fiancée disrespectful, but she told him it was better than telling his mom to cook other dishes specifically for her. Yeah, that would go over real well. I can't begin to imagine when, like, if I was younger and was bringing some chick home and telling my mom, oh, by the way, Mom, could you cook a whole different meal for this girl I'm bringing home because, you know, she doesn't like Thanksgiving meal. That would go real well. I told her no, she could not bring her food with her, and if she insists that she needs to stay home and not come with me because I'm not about to let her offend my mom's cooking, he wrote. Good for this guy. Maybe this guy watches my channel. Maybe this guy watches other channels like me. Because a lot of guys, let's be perfectly honest here, would have caved. They would have allowed her to bring whatever food she wanted or some BS like this. Good for this guy. This is what you do. This is how you handle this. Well, actually, he should have broke up with her at that point because that would have been the biggest sign ever. At that point, his partner became emotional, crying and accusing him of being controlling and overreacting about it. She told him she wasn't willing to go hungry to please his mom. So what was she planning to do? That if she'd go along and she couldn't bring her own food and his mom wouldn't make food, is she going to literally sit there at the table with her arms folded like a spoiled 5-year-old brat and not eat anything and just stare pissed off? And notice how she twisted around and made him out to be the bad guy. Controlling and overreacting. She's being the a-hole here. The man stood his ground, though, getting in his car and driving off to his parents' house several hours away. As he left, he said she began calling him and telling he was wrong to make this his hill to die on and blaming him for causing her to miss his mom's invite. See? No accountability, twisting it around to make him out to be the bad guy. She's being the a-hole here, she's being unreasonable, and he's laying down the law. And he is doing one of the most powerful things a guy can do. Leave. Got in the car and left. Now, I'm not sure if she's in his house or his apartment. And that's a big risk there because he could come home later on that night and the whole place would look like a tornado went through. I'd be careful. I'd make sure she left. Since arriving at his parents' house, the man said he's been getting bombarded with messages from his fiancée guilting him for leaving her behind and calling him a selfish jerk. He's a selfish jerk. Now, some people might say, well, maybe she has an eating disorder. Well, the dude has been with her for a few years, and granted there's the long distance, I think at this point he'd know if she had an eating disorder. Okay, I think some way it would come up. And don't tell me that Thanksgiving dinner is going to be the eating disorder. And of course, there's going to be someone that's going to say that, because there's always someone that's going to be like, well, maybe this person has this. Guess what? The odds are extremely extreme that she's not going to have a condition or some disorder or some damn thing. What she has is a bitch disorder. That's what's going on here. A majority of the commenters backed his hardline stance when it came to his mom's cooking. One person said it would have been perfectly acceptable, gracious even, for her to bring a side dish or two. Such and such commented, but to pre-cook and bring a whole meal and not eat your mother's food at all is rude. Right. Okay, she doesn't like Thanksgiving food, but just have a little bit. You know, just a little bit. And then, you can have your pumpkin pie later or some damn thing, Or she could eat ahead of time and then just have like a little amount or something. But no, or just drink a bunch of wine. Although this chick should not be drinking. Another guy says he wasn't buying her reasoning, branding it ridiculous. He says she is refusing to eat Thanksgiving food because she always eats the same traditional food once a calendar year. One day out of the year, and this is the only day she suddenly needs to try a new food, they asked. Right. It's about control. She's trying to control him. She's trying to obviously put a wedge between him and his family. People that generally are like that are, wait for it, sociopaths. Got another guy says, I'm a picky eater and I would choke down a meal made up of a list of my least favorite foods before I would walk in with a single serving meal for myself and myself alone on a holiday centered around food. Another person thought it seemed like a power play on her part. There you go. Look, I can show up and not touch your food and your son won't say anything, except he refused to play stupid games, which wasn't the plan, they wrote. Guys, this is a perfect out for this guy to end the relationship. One, because of her bullshit she was pulling, and two, how she was twisting it around, making him out to be the villain here. Okay? Perfect out. Say, you know what? It's not working. Because this is going to be your future family, and this is what you're going to do on your first time meeting them. Because, of course, they heard about it. I mean, I would imagine he's going to say something. Or maybe he would. Maybe he went there and said, oh, she wasn't feeling well because he didn't want to stir up any shit. Who the hell knows? And then she was bombarding him with texts and messages like a psycho, making him out to be the villain here. No. This is the type of crap that happens. Another guy says, she has 364 other days in a year to eat something different. For one day, she can suck it up. Well, if she wants to get back with this guy, she's going to be sucking something up later on that night. Another guy says, this feels like a test to force you to choose her over your family. Ding, ding, ding. Despite the widespread criticism, a small fraction suggested the fiancé may have valid reasons for wanting to eat her own food. Of course, there's always going to be someone that's going to say something like that. One person said was among those to suggest she could be hiding an eating disorder. While my eating disorder was bad, the idea of eating food that I didn't know the nutritional facts of and hadn't portioned out would send me into a panic. It's Thanksgiving food. It's not that hard to figure out what's going to be on the menu. Turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing. Come on here. The theory certainly paints her reasoning in a new light and further highlights what is a major issue for a significant portion of Americans. A significant portion of Americans, if there's anything that's a significant portion of Americans, is that they're overweight, obese, that they've let themselves go, and they've allowed the body positivity movement to give them a free pass to sit on their ass and eat garbage and not exercise. That's the percentage of the population. Sure, there are people that have eating disorders. Okay, they do. But this country has an overeating disorder. You want to solve the problem? Put down the damn fork. According to a report from the Harvard School of Public Health published in 2020, 9% of the population will have an eating disorder at one point in their lifetime. That equates to 28.8 million Americans. This is not an eating disorder. This is a power play. She's stirring up bullshit. Some 10,200 people die in the U.S. every year as a result of eating disorder, which equates to one death every 52 minutes, while the economic cost of eating disorders is $64.7 billion every year. Oh yeah? Well, what is the economic cost of obesity? There's a question for you, because what does obesity lead to? Diabetes, heart disease, plenty of other things. What's the economic cost on that? What's the cost of healthcare on that, which boosts up premiums, which healthy people, like many of you guys who watch me, have to pay? Or your employer has to pay, which one way you pay. Earlier this week, another viral Reddit post has highlighted the ongoing issues around body dysmorphia in the U.S. after a teenager was left distraught after her aunt edited pictures of her on social media to make her appear slimmer. On the flip side, a husband sparked fury after criticizing his wife for eating less following weight loss surgery. But anyhow, that is that portion of the video here about that. But no, she did this on purpose. It's a power play. I don't buy it, this eating disorder thing. And she's obviously not a vegan or some bullshit like that. Come on here. Now, real quick, guys. Somebody sent me, I forget your name, so I apologize, bro, but somebody sent me a really good article. It's real quick, but I wanted to go over it real quick about another crazy gal. This takes place, this title of this article is, He is Too Handsome. Obsessive woman refused to leave a hostile husband as he is too good looking. And this article is coming from another part of the world where this woman is in this very bad relationship with her husband, but she refused to leave him because he's too good looking. And it's a very bad situation. And here's an example of just how crazy some of the gals can be behind their reasoning and things like that. So real quick, Starts off, and I got to watch some of the words I say here because it's YouTube, so just bear with me. Starts out, it says, a hostile relationship or marriage is often a huge red flag, and it's usually just a matter of time before it breaks the couple, both mentally and emotionally. However, a woman in China finds it impossible to divorce her hostile husband, and it's not because of how good he is at apologizing. Accordingly, the woman, who has been enduring 3 years of domestic issues, refuses to leave her other half simply because he is, wait for it, too good looking. You're in a very hostile situation where a lot of things are going on that I can't mention here, and she doesn't want to leave the dude because he's too good looking. I mean, is she like the elephant lady, and this is the first time that good looking guys paid attention to her? What the hell is this? But how many stories have you guys have heard about these gals with these guys that are terrible to them, but they won't leave them because, all sorts of reasons. There's that attachment there, but because he's too looking. But you're going to see here, it's not all black and white, because she's not exactly wonderful either. She's quoted saying, "He is too handsome, and I can't live without him for a minute." Psycho. The woman met her husband through her friend 3 years back, and to her, who was only 20 years old back then, it was a love at first sight. They immediately tied the knot after only 2 months of dating, only to find themselves in arguments following the marriage. Well, no kidding. They've been married let's see how long they've been married. Yeah, it sounds like they've been married for 3 years. She got married 20 years old. They only knew each other for 2 months and they got married. Well, no kidding. You're a bunch of dumbass kids. And I don't care if you're in the other side of the world. Human nature is human nature. And by the way, this is a perfect example I talk about how what men and women respond to, it doesn't make a difference where you are in the world, what's your culture, religion. We respond to. Human emotions is the same everywhere. And they got married too young, and they're fighting and carrying on, yet she can't leave him. It wasn't long until things turned sour when the arguments would involve physical issues, such as punching and kicking that would leave bruises on her body. Now, well, that's not cool. I don't care what the situation is. They should just split up, okay? No matter how much BS she's doing, that's just not okay. And vice versa. Couldn't be a better time to leave, right? That was what the husband did, and he filed divorce as he couldn't see them surviving in the long run if they continued the marriage. Surprisingly, the woman did not think so. So he obviously knows this screwed up, so he wants to get away from this and end it. She doesn't want to let him go. It was reported that as long as the husband simply apologizes, then it's just another series of let bygones be bygones. Despite the man's attempt to end the marriage, she came up with 3 reasons why the marriage can never end. Now listen to this. Number 1, he is her first love and she cannot give him up easily. A lot of women, when they have their first dude they sleep with, they don't forget them. Ever. The first true love, the first dude they sleep with, they remember that to the day they die. They literally can't remember what they had for breakfast that day, but they will remember that dude who was their first love or the first guy that they got some sausage from. Number 2, she believes that once a woman has attached herself to a man, she should stay faithful regardless of the good and bad circumstances. Well, on one hand, if the dude's a good guy and treats her well and, all that, okay, that's nice that she's going to stay with him through thick and thin and rich and poor, the old school marriage thing. But this is obviously a bad situation. Obviously, there's a lot of turmoil and drama. They were kids, they were immature, and they got married too young, didn't know each other very long. Number 3, she sees her husband as someone extremely handsome, and it's hard to find someone as good looking as him again. Again, is she the elephant lady? I mean, never had a dude who paid attention that looked that good? I mean, seriously here. That's the reason to stay in a miserable marriage, miserable situation. I wonder, growing up, if she was in a marriage like that. I wonder if with her family, if she gets divorced, she's going to be shunned. That's a good question to ask. She even said that her husband is even better looking than Chris Wu, a Chinese-Canadian singer and actor. On the other hand, the husband reported that the couple would get themselves into arguments because the wife is naturally suspicious. Aha, now we're getting somewhere. Her suspicion is too toxic to the extent that she would check his phone anytime she sees fit to trace the possibilities of a third party. She's one of those, spying on his phone, checking into him. You can see where fights would arise. I'm not saying it's physical altercations is warranted, and most certainly is not, but he has a reason to get pissed and yell, and you can probably imagine a whole scene erupting. He also expressed that he has no personal space, as the wife would stick with him 24/7 on the reason that he is too good looking and she refuses any other girls to stand a chance. Clingy, possessive, needy. Yeah, these are great things. As of now, the woman is pregnant and stated that she wants a family with the same man for their child. She's quoted saying, "I will promise him anything as he wants as long as he doesn't leave me. Love is something beautiful and is meant to be cherished, but is it worth all the toxicity?" No, it is not. And she's pregnant now. Now that poor kid is going to be, if they stay together, is going to be raised in a household where mom and dad hate each other's guts and is constant arguing and turmoil and fighting. I mean, it's just terrible. And guess what? That kid will end up in a family, end up in relationships just like that. How do I know? I've observed this type of thing. It's really sad and unfortunate. But anyhow, guys, there's 2 crazy articles for you on a Monday morning. I threw that one in because someone sent that to me, and it'll only take 5 minutes to go over. I thought it'd be a good one. But back to the original Thanksgiving story. You know, like I said before, these are things you got to pay attention to. So for you relationship guys, I don't want any of you guys doing this crap when you go rushing into a relationship, let alone a marriage, because, again, you guys, some of you guys who watch are going to get married anyway, so it is what it is. Be with them for years. And it's these little situations that can arise to show you the gal's true character. Okay? This guy should end it with her right now. That showed everything on multiple levels. They're twisting around, making him out to be the bad guy, and also the fact that the stunt she pulled with his family. I mean, you know, that's just the beginning. What other selfish crap is she going to pull down the road? I think she was doing it just to put a wedge between them, create drama, have him all to herself. That's what I think, because she's going to pull this against her future mother-in-law. What does it say about her? I really hope this guy ends this, and I'm sure he's read, like I said, it had like 10,000, no, it had upvotes, as they call them on Reddit, but I'm sure it has thousands of comments at this point. I wish this guy well. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, as always, if you come across a great article that you'd like me to cover, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Also, if you guys have a great story you'd like to share about something that you've gone through, you've experienced, you overcome, I love the personal stories more than anything, guys. Just send it over to me. Just make sure you write it out well. Paragraphs, good punctuation, write it in a way that if you were reading it, it'd be easy for you to read. Because if things are all jammed together, I unfortunately just cannot. I don't have the time to just figure out what you're trying to say and break up the paragraphs. I got to move on and find something else. And I get tons of these all the time. But by all means, send it on over, and I'll certainly cover it in the future. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.